Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got three!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Welcome back to Texas Rangers with the Boys. We are the Boys, your daily Texas Rangers podcast by a couple of pro wrestlers who love Rangers baseball. And just like the introduction says, drink water. Drink water. Now, this is your boy, Kev.
Is that real quick?
Yeah.
Is there a DWI precaution on our opening there that was like, don't drink and drive? It's probably as good a place as any to put one.
Why not? Why? I mean, we are against drinking and driving, so by all means, but drink water, like the thing says. But hey, this is your boy Kev, aka YBK, Kevin Frazier. You know, I woke up this morning, Bull. I realized that the Rangers, couldn't win this series in Baltimore. But you know what else I realized? We swept Baltimore last year on our way to winning the World Series, and I just kind of laughed at it a little bit and was like,
Saturday night after the game, I turned the wire on because I needed to see someone else besides the Rangers being murdered in Baltimore.
Good point. But I find it really funny that more conversation was made about what Baltimore learned last year. And was it good for them that they got swept than any conversation about how great of a season the Rangers had. Not one time was that brought up, or about how great this team was and how amazing the run it was and how great it was for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and how the Rangers win their first World Series ever. No, the whole talk is how much Baltimore learned by getting their butts handed to them by the Rangers last year. But anyway,
if you remember correctly, it's always more important to learn than win.
Oh, of course. I mean, you got to learn.
We all talk about the 2023 banner in Baltimore where it says we learned some stuff.
We learned something. Well,
they're proud of that AL West banner. That's a good one.
Sure.
Or AL East banner, but they're super proud of that we learned some stuff banner.
We learned some stuff.
Yeah, that's the one that hangs the proudest in Camden Yards now.
It was good for them.
Not the 83 World Championship. The 2023 we learned some stuff banner that hangs so proudly besides that 83 World Series banner.
I love the we learned something. They learned something from it. That was good for them. But anyways, hey, if you want to smash on the Orioles, which I can't be too heavy on the Orioles, my actual boss is from Baltimore. He's a big time.
They're not like super hateable, but they're becoming that way fast.
After these six hit batters over a 2-game period, and our most valuable commodity in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, maybe sans Luka Doncic, Corey Seager, his wrist. I would say that I've got a little salt towards the Baltimore Orioles right now. But hey, let me do the thing. Kevin Lee Frazier on social media, Frazier. Don't forget to check out our social media, TX Rangers WTV. Don't forget that website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Also all one word.
Chilltown Hoops. At Chilltown Hoops on YouTube. That's the Sports Fluent Network. You can become more fluent with the Sports Fluent Network. And that all starts by going to YouTube and checking out at Chilltown Hoops.
It kicks it back over to me, and I just say, also, Bull, why don't you tell them where they can find you on social media, because I botched it the one time I tried.
Oh, well, on Twitter somewhere, and no, Manimal Bull on Twitter, Instagram Manimal300, and both Facebook and TikTok at Bull Pro. Whatever your favorite platform of the socials are, get at me on there. We'll talk about Rangers. We'll talk about. Whatever. It's not Wyatt Langford. He did something special, right? Yeah. He has so far in his first couple hundred at bats. He's got the inside the Parker, the Grand Slam, and the cycle.
And like 5 triples too.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, like I mean, good chance he could lead the league in triples this year. The way things are going, he does have that top speed.
He does have some.
They made sure to point out that top speed whenever Nate Lowe got thrown out at second last night.
Oh,
They're
any chance you can get
like
to
comparing Wyatt Langford to Nate Lowe. Nate Lowe's like a 6'4", 255-pound first baseman. Like his speed was pretty good for what he is, you know.
I mean, any chance these guys can take a shot at the Rangers, they did. They took shots at them.
Well, I mean,
Saturday night on one network.
Pierzynski, all he talked about the whole night was the Rangers couldn't hit fastballs. That was the whole topic of the whole night was that Rangers. Of course, we've all seen it. We know. Like, I don't need to, like, I mean, everybody doesn't need to be reminded every 5 seconds that they're struggling with fastballs.
But hey, we couldn't get Fox and ABC, who is the parent company for ESPN. We couldn't get Fox and ABC to agree on anything until you throw the Rangers out there, and they both bow, bow, bow.
They were like, they were like, we stand with Smoltz.
Yeah,
and that's how that ended up. We stand with Smoltz.
Well, hey, I know that if I start talking Rangers, I know what you're going to do. So why don't you just
I'm going to cut right in, and I'm going to tell you that on Friday, July 26th, at the Southside Preservation Hall in Fort Worth, Texas, Matt Warpro is going to be back with a brand new show. It's going to be Ultraviolet Dreamers. That's right, Ultraviolet Dreamers. Going to have I don't know, 7 matches or so. That's how it normally shakes down. We'll have Kelly's Onion Burgers out back, whipping up some hamburgers and French fries. We've got Starry's Ice Cream in there, getting the dessert ready. It's going to be the end of July. You're going to need some dessert for sure. In Texas, it's going to probably be 108 degrees that day because that's how things work when I have to do like any kind of manual labor at all. So we got that to look forward to. And to cool down, get you one of them Martin House brews from Martin House Brewing because they have some of the most unique beers that you'll ever drink and some of the best Pilsners and blondes that you'll ever have too. So don't think they're all gimmick because they make some damn good beers as well. So Friday, July 26th, come on out to the Southside Preservation Hall for a big night of professional wrestling supporting the community of Southside Fort Worth.
Man. Going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a real good time out there. Let's talk Rangers baseball. You know, we know the Rangers. If you're a Rangers fan and you've been hiding under a rock, Rangers only take 1 out of 3 against Baltimore. You know, like let's just call it what it is. Our Rangers are in a tough spot right now in a sad way. Our defending champs are not having a ton of luck right now. Really a lot, anything that kind of can go wrong has gone wrong with this team. But when we're in it, it's a little easier to be a little more knee jerk and get a little more intense. But right now at this moment, like I love my team and let's just give me one win at a time. And we'll look at the big picture as we get closer to this trade deadline and people get healthy and we'll see how it goes. But right now, like I'll just take one win at a time. And that could be like a game win, or that could be a Wyatt Langford hitting for the cycle. There's a lot of ways that we can calculate wins right now because, you know, if Baltimore can get swept out of the thing and embarrassed by the Rangers, then we can call a cycle a win, right? Like if you can call
I mean, we can call whatever we want, you know.
So I'm trying to keeping it positive here with our team.
Well, here's the positive about Major League Baseball is 81 nights they're going to do it in Texas, 81 nights they're going to do it all over the country, and they're going to play them. They're going to play every Monday through Saturday or whatever, 7:05, and on Sunday afternoon they're going to be out there at 1:35, and you're going to get baseball every day throughout the summer. And is it always the baseball you want? Absolutely not. But this is a hardened town when it comes to Texas Rangers baseball. We've seen the lowest depths of the low, and
Yep.
between last year and the nice run throughout the early 2010s, we've seen the highest of the highs. And every franchise is like that. I mean, look, in 1907 or 1908 or whatever, I bet not one Chicago Cubs fan thought that they'd never see another world championship.
Sure. No.
You know, I mean,
Guarantee it.
so it's just one of those things, and it isn't. I don't have to live throughout my 50s, 60s, 70s as I'm getting closer to the grave, going, man, my Rangers never won me a world championship.
Yeah.
And those are positive things, and of course we want more. We also know that things pile up throughout a season, and when you lose 100.5 points from every one of your players on their on base plus slug, things aren't going to be as good as they were for them the year before. And now it doesn't mean that can't change. We're what, 3 games past the midway point of the season. There have definitely been teams that have turned it on in the second half of the season and put runs together and put themselves in a position to make the playoffs. And the Rangers are definitely capable of that.
They certainly are.
They're going to get Tyler Mahle pitching this week in a rehab assignment. Now, I don't know if that means as low as Arizona Complex, or if that means AAA Round Rock or AA Frisco around the area while the Rangers are in Texas. But that's positive. That's an exciting sign for the Rangers. I mean, we're talking about getting healthy. We're talking about all these things. And right now, at this moment, they're starting to get healthy. They're starting to get back ready. It just hasn't kind of changed the outcome of the ball game just yet, because Friday night, Max Scherzer was gold. If you can get that from Max Scherzer every outing, you should win a lot of ball games.
Right. No, I don't disagree. Rangers Friday night. I mean, we're not going to talk about timeout. Stop that. Let's go through
Put
Rangers
the cart in
news.
front of the horse. I'm sorry.
So let's go through the Rangers. Actually, before we get to Rangers news, so tomorrow's show we will not have a box score to cover. Chances are we're not going to have updates on the Seager injury, which we'll talk about in just a second. But we will do. I think we should do some questions. So if you guys have any questions for us that you like for us to talk about on the show, don't forget to check us. Hit us up on social media. I know we had some good feedback last time about whether the Rangers should go get a bat, whether they should stand pat during the trade deadline. What questions do you guys have? Looking forward to answering those questions. We'll kind of take them anywhere we can get them. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, on the fantasy baseball chat, instant message, YouTube, whatever. Hit us up. Let us know what questions. Yeah, on Spotify. Give us your questions. We'll talk about it. We got time to talk a little bit about this team and about it's halfway point. Maybe just doing a little bit of a grade too of the squad, and not a lot of high grades to pass out for anybody right now.
Josh Smith gets an A.
Oh, heck yeah, Josh Smith gets an A. I don't know how Josh Smith doesn't make the All-Star team.
I'd have a hard time imagining that he doesn't, but if he doesn't, it's going to be solely on the fact that other third basemen have more name power and have had better years. But outside of Jose Ramirez, I can't really name a whole lot of third basemen in the American League that are having a better year than Josh Smith.
No, there aren't. And you make a great point with that. Josh Smith has been fantastic. One of the things I really love about Josh Smith is that he pulls the ball, he hits it up the middle, and he goes the other way. He hits the ball on all fields. He does hit for a little power. Definitely has the gap power. He's got speed. He's versatile. Made a heck of a play last night.
Discipline at the plate. He makes solid contact. It's harder to see a regression from him just because he's so fundamentally sound at basically most aspects of the game. I mean, even if he never develops into a full-time starter, there's a job for him a lot of years, playing a lot of games at third, short, second, possibly even left field. So Josh Smith, he's very versatile. He can play, all over the field, and that gives him a real benefit when it comes to getting to a point where the Rangers are healthy, but they still are going to have him somewhere on the diamond.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so let's get into our Rangers news. So speaking of infielders, Jonathan Ornelas up, Brock Burke down. Not a big shocker with Brock Burke, man. I'm wondering how much if he ends up as a casualty in some.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he's just he may be a guy that gets non-tendered at the end of the year this year, where they just don't offer him a contract. I don't know, just because he has options left, so it's not like it's the end of the world. He was probably going to be the option when Josh Sborz was back and ready and available. So with all indications, Ornelas will just turn into that option. Depending on what they find out with Corey Seager. If Corey Seager goes to the IL, there still may be the option with Ornelas, because you can bring Sborz up and then you can replace Seager with either Duran or Justin Foscue, because both of those guys were optioned within the last 20 days. So they can't come up unless they're an injury replacement. They can't just come up on an option. So that's probably why, in my head, 99% of the reason why it was Jonathan Ornelas that got the call instead of those two guys, because I would imagine that both of those guys would be ahead of Ornelas on the depth chart. I think one other thing with Foscue is he doesn't play short, so that kind of puts him in a bad way. If something happens to Smith, they don't have a shortstop that really puts, whatever the case may be. Young gets back, I'd imagine the option would be Davis Wenzel.
Speaking of Josh Young and Davis Wenzel, whose careers have somehow found a way to walk
intertwined, right? Big 12 player of the years.
Both on the Rangers,
drafted by the Rangers in the first round. Yeah,
right. One's playing for the other one while the other one's hurt. And
both of them have had injury problems throughout the minor league that have kept them from.
Wenzel smoked a ball today, just foul. I when I saw that, I was like, I can see now why they like him.
Yeah, there's a lot to like. I think Davis Wenzel, if he can stop himself from getting in an 0-2 count every time, that's I think his biggest issue right now is that when you go up there and you fall behind 0-2 every time, at some point you got to be looking to swing the bat in those first two pitches, because otherwise you ain't going to see a good pitch the rest of the game.
Yeah. Well, you brought up Josh Young and Davis Wenzel. Let's talk about Young. Josh Young pushed back. Looks like he might not be able to come out and play for the team until this next homestand. Rangers have a day off, like we said today. So it might not be. We obviously aren't going to get. We didn't get Josh Young against Baltimore, and so might be this homestand, either San Diego or Tampa. Now, I'm going to joke a little bit, but kind of not joking. I'm kind of glad he didn't come back this series, because Baltimore was literally throwing it like Ranger hands.
It was a weird thing too, because all of them seemed to be on 3-2 counts.
Yeah.
That's not exactly where pitchers should be trying to put a 3-2 anything, really, honestly. If you're throwing up there on a 3-2, because that hitters are having to respect the breaking ball, it kind of feels like it's a little dirty. But at the same time, the kid that pitched last night against Seager, he didn't have control all night, and then Irvin wasn't very good tonight either. So you don't know. I don't think anything was intentional, but at the same time, it's the same thing with Phil Maton from earlier in the year with Tampa Bay, because it wasn't like Josh Young was the only guy he hit that half inning. He hit a couple other different players. And he didn't, and it wasn't even a hit by pitch in the case with Josh Young, because he got the swing.
Well, here's my thing. With this is that one is a coincidence. Two, now I'm starting to get but six hit batters in 2 games. In these Baltimore Rangers series, and then those guys were coming in like in that exact spot with all the Rangers' major guys. They did it against Simeon. Simeon just didn't swing at it, so he didn't lean into it with his hand. But we saw, Garcia got hit. We saw Kisner got hit. We saw Wenzel got hit. And then obviously we know the Seager got hit. Again, I'm not trying to conflate these two things necessarily, but it's one thing when it happened with Young, I'm like, oh man, that felt a little bit intentional, but there was nothing to really say it was. But this series, give me a break. What told me that told me it was a thing was that the Rangers were doing it to them. And if you watched Gunnar Henderson, he was like, I'm not doing this today because he's having too good of a season. And the Rangers were throwing the ball like Heaney was right up in that same little spot with Henderson. He did it multiple times.
But the difference there is also that most of that stuff that Heaney was throwing was over the plate.
Sure.
The difference is, he's coming inside to work inside, because if you leave anything out over the edges for Gunnar Henderson, out over the plate. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't coming inside unintentionally, because I imagine that there was some intent with coming inside, but I don't know that coming inside there was trying to hit him, but at the same time, definitely make him feel uncomfortable at the plate. And I felt like Heaney was so successful, more so for the fact that he was able to successfully get the ball in on Baltimore's left-handed hitters, who just kind of destroyed pitching all week. Lorenzen, and Lorenzen wasn't bad. The home run was a killer, but the grand slam or whatever was a killer. And Scherzer wasn't bad, but it was Tuesday. John Gray just left way too much out over the plate, and everybody else that came in behind it similar.
Yeah, and just to kind of put a bow on the whole
by
pitch kind of thing, I'm sorry, man, but I just it's too. Coincidences are fine, when they actually look like a coincidence, but at this point it definitely didn't look very coincidental to me. And it is what it is. I guess this is just what comes along.
I wouldn't say that it was all intentional.
Also too, this is my point.
Sweeper that didn't move.
Well, hold on. Let me say what I was going to say. These are pros. You can't make it look intentional. It has to give you a semblance of doubt to be any good at it. These are pros. These guys are good at what they do. They can't if they just come out and make it look blatantly obvious, then they're getting chunked out of the game. People are getting suspended. Baltimore doesn't have time for that, but it's just coincidentally, oh, wow, we're up 2-0 on this team. And all of a sudden, Seager hits an early home run and then he gets tagged the next time. To me, it's just kind of like, you can't make it obvious. That's the thing, that if you're going to do it the right way, there's going to have to be a semblance of you got to give something up. You got to make it look like.
I guess the thing is you have to look at it in this sense too. You're talking about it was a 1-run ball game when Seager got hit. It's a 3-2 count. You don't want to put the tying run on first base, which it gives you the idea that you have to do it in the sense that you're talking about. But none of us can guarantee that's the case. We can't. None of us. It's almost like the baseball. We can't guarantee the baseball's made out of old floppy socks these days, but man, it sure looks like it when they hit it.
Sure, and again, kind of just kind of kicking the dead horse on it. But it can't, like I said, it can't be obvious. It has to look like you're losing something when this happens. And I think that's kind of what also gives it away in some ways for me, is look, man, it can't look obvious. And again, that kind of goes back to some of the stuff we saw last year in the Houston series, but I digress. Hey, we have some really exciting news.
And some pitchers just suck and lose the ball occasionally because they can't grip it anymore because they got all the rosin and stuff taken away from them.
Yeah, not 6 times in 2 games. Hey, you know what's really exciting?
What's that?
We just put in over an hour's worth of Down on the Farm with the Boys, where we go through all things Rangers minor league. We just put in over an hour's worth of content for our exclusive content. So where we cover all things Rangers minor league. Like, we covered a ton, man. Like, we've gotten that Rangers 2023 draft is looking good. And if you want to know who those players are that are doing really well, and you want to know who's hot right now in this organization, you need to go to our website, texasrangerswiththeboys.com.
All one word.
Also, all one word. You can subscribe right here on at Chilltown Hoops. If you want the audio, you go to Spotify or our website. It's just $1.99 a month. Or you can subscribe here at Chilltown Hoops for our for the exclusive content. And you have 3 different levels. At that 3rd level, you can actually hop on here and you can record video with us on the show. Would love to have some of you guys on the show with us as well. So again, man, top 10, we covered every single level from the Dominican Summer League Red and Blue all the way up to AAA Round Rock. And there's just a lot going on with this organization. We had a lot of movement happen. We covered who went where and who's doing what. So again, there's a lot of stuff on there. So go check it out. You won't regret it. Texas Down on the Farm with the Boys. So let's talk box scores and then we'll tee up the people for questions.
Friday, when I was doing the show alone, one of the things that I mentioned was that Albert Suarez looked like the type of pitcher that was going to give the Rangers trouble. Just because, he doesn't give up a lot as far as runs, but he's going to give up some walks and some hits. And, he kind of worked his way around some things early in that game and got into those middle innings. And he was really good. And I kind of saw him as the type of pitcher that was going to give the Rangers fits. But overall, Max Scherzer, you got him into the 6th inning, up over, he threw 77 pitches. So not bad outing for him at all. 4 hits, a couple of earned runs. The 1 home run that he gave up, he had 4 strikeouts, just 2 walks. Last was pretty decent. Leclerc was good out of the bullpen. The Rangers, you got that pitching performance right there. 5 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks. That's what you're looking for. They put themselves in a position to win right there, but the offense, unfortunately, just had the 9 base runners for the game. There were no hit by pitch in that game because both Scherzer and Suarez had elite control all throughout the night. Suarez was all over the plate, but he was right where he wanted to be pretty much all night. The Rangers didn't have a whole lot going from the bats. Seager had a hit and a walk. Garcia had a walk and a run scored. Langford had a hit and a couple of walks. And then other than that, you had the 1 hit from Jankowski that they didn't get the run across right there on that, and ended up just getting the 1 from the walk. And then Tavares had the walk that ended up scoring the run. He turned it over. Simeon hit a pretty hard hit ball down to third base, but it just wasn't going to get through the infield. And basically the Rangers' best scoring threat there. They got 1, had left the bases loaded with 2 outs, and just weren't able to get that 1 across that they needed to get back into that game. And overall, the bats, just silent when they needed them to be good. And on a night where Suarez was pitching well, they didn't take advantage of the few opportunities that they had because a base hit from Simeon right there. They win this game 3-2.
Yeah. And it kind of has been the story all year in these close games, especially late. Rangers haven't been able to pull something out and do what needs to be done. Nice game from Wyatt Langford. Got on base 3 times there. Got a single there. Also got a couple of walks. So you like to see that. And I'm planting seeds there a little bit because if there's anything that came positive out of this unfortunate weekend against Baltimore. It was maybe the national coming out party for Wyatt Langford, because he did it on the national stage. He played well both nights on national TV. And one thing that Wyatt Langford has been really, really better than advertised is out in left field.
Yeah, I would agree.
He has been. I mean, he's not. I don't see him as like a Gold Glover, as like to just be honest. But I don't. He doesn't. He gets the balls. He's got speed, so he gets the balls that maybe other left fielders might not get to. His arm doesn't seem to be a liability. He doesn't have a cannon. Doesn't misplay the ball. You don't see
makes up for a little bit with the speed.
Yeah, and he doesn't look like a fish out of water. Also, too, another guy who made up for an unfortunate glove decision a couple of games back. Derek Hill had a couple of really nice plays out there in center field. Dove when he was supposed to.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That was a ball that absolutely you should have dove at. And on top of that, that's a ball hit towards the gap. You've got Wyatt Langford behind you to back it up. You don't make that catch. Worst case scenario is Wyatt Langford's right there. You're coming in on a ball in center field. You got no one behind you. And that was the biggest mistake there. But if you shift to Saturday, Derek Hill started doing it with the bat.
Yeah. He had a heck of a weekend. And for him, I guess it was kind of, makes Bruce Bochy look like a genius.
Well, at least it makes him feel good about the offense a tad bit. I mean, when Derek Hill homered earlier today for the first time or whatever, and they got a couple of runs across, James is like, "Oh, Derek Hill's good." I'm like, I don't care who it is right now.
Right.
I honestly do not care who it is getting hits. Let's just get hits and let's turn this into a winning project. But at the same time, Derek Hill, the big home run on Saturday as well. Seager had a solo shot kind of the first inning there to get things going. And when they fell down after the grand slam, you got a big home run from Nate Lowe, followed by the one from Derek Hill, and you're right there back in this game at 5-4, and really honestly, Brock Burke.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for that walk, Dunning works through that, gets them through it, and they get out of there, and they're 5-5 after the Garcia home run, but just that one walk really was instrumental in the Rangers, not having enough firepower. They had an opportunity there in the 8th, and Jonah Heim hit a ball to the wall. But
you also know who deserves a little bit of credit for Baltimore in this game. And I know they gushed about him enough on the broadcast for us to not even have to mention him. But that double that Gunnar Henderson got, where he, it looked like kind of a little, could have been a single.
Yeah.
Out there, guts it out, gets a double. And it's almost like, it was almost just like, yo, hey guys, like, let's go. Like, I appreciated that because I think stuff like that makes a difference. And I think for this Baltimore team, you see that they definitely have a chip on their shoulder. I feel like that they are definitely, obviously we know they're a talented team, but I really appreciated that because I feel like that's a little bit of what the Rangers kind of need themselves is just kind of what we're going to talk about here in a minute, but you need some of these guys to kind of like make a little, do a little bit extra, do something to get this team fired up. When I saw him get that double, I was like, man, like, that's what good ball players do. That's what leaders
that turned into. It was the run that was on third base in the grand slam, and that really, honestly, I mean, Lorenzen, not a terrible pitch that got hit. He was trying to get ahead in the count. You see what happened, and the ball was carrying good last night in Baltimore. That ball probably hangs up most nights out there in Baltimore. But
in Lorenzen, you got to cut him a little slack because of the fact that he's been one of the best pitchers on the Rangers all year. Everybody's going to have a tough outing, and
Yeah.
you don't hate a guy for that.
The command of the strike zone just really wasn't there Saturday night like it had been or has been most of the season for Lorenzen. And the walks, I mean, the 4 walks came back to haunt him, and then the grand slam. It wasn't a killer, though. The Rangers put themselves back in a position to be right in that game. And you saw that the Rangers did a little bit of battling on Saturday, and you started to see the extra base hits come. I mean, because they had 3 doubles from Garcia, Lowe, and Grossman, and then they also had 4 home runs. They had the Seager, Hill, Lowe, and Garcia, and then they had several fly balls that would have been out of the ballpark in several ballparks in Baltimore there, where they pushed the power gaps back to 500 or whatever it is there.
Yeah, they talked about it over and over on the broadcast. So Rangers. Man, you know what's nice about Sunday's game is the redemption factor. Rangers get tagged 11-2 by Baltimore on Friday. Play a couple of close games with them on Friday, Saturday, and they come back and tag Baltimore for 11 just to kind of get a little redemption. Yeah, Baltimore wins this series, but I still feel like the Rangers gave them enough of like in wrestling terms, gave him enough gave him enough ease to like say, hey, we're still here. We didn't roll. They didn't roll over our guys didn't roll over. They played hardball against one of the best teams in baseball, if not the best team, and showed on the road that this Rangers team still has some fight. They're not done yet. And
there's still a lot of talent. Yeah, there's still a lot of talent. Don't let this team get hot on you, because the next thing you know, they could be right back in everything. And man, if they can get more like what they got Sunday night from Andrew Heaney, man, he was good. 10 strikeouts over 7 innings, just 5 hits and a couple of earned. And really, he gave up the 1 run when they were up 2-1 or 2-0. And then the other run that he gave up, I think they were up like 7-0 when he gave that run up. So, he was just throwing strikes, getting through innings, and he was able to really command the fastball at the top of the zone, at the bottom of the zone. The slider was working well. Overall, man, a really good outing from Andrew Heaney, and those extra base hits kept coming because Garcia had a double, Kisner had a double, Langford had the triple and the double and the home run and the single to complete the cycle. Right. But when you get that triple early in the game like that, you're always on a cycle watch. Yeah, you're always thinking about it. Then once he's got the double and he gets that infield single, you're starting to think, oh man. And we're doing the Down on the Farm show when he does it. So
yeah, we were
able to kind of celebrate it a little bit, but they had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extra base hits again tonight. So they're starting to put extra base hits together. And that 1 inning, they were 5 for 5 before they gave up with 1 out, and they had 4 extra base hits. And the only out they had was Nate Lowe trying to turn a single into a double.
And I don't hate that either, by the way.
No, I don't hate that either. I mean, look, you had to have a perfect throw, a perfect everything, and that doesn't happen every time.
You need, like, right now, I feel like, hey, like everybody's on notice, so like put in the extra effort. Real quick too, Josh Smith had another really good kind of overall weekend for the team. Right now, he's like kind of the MVP of the squad. And that play he made it short today just kind of showed the versatility that he has as an MLB player. But I mean, the show today, I mean, Hill, Langford, great. Also, too, actually, bigger picture, Rangers had 4 multi-run innings, had 3 innings where they scored 3 runs. That's the team that we kind of know, if you want to say, and the runs, they piled on 3 more in the 8th. That made me happy as well.
The bottom of the lineup was 4 for 12 with 4 RBIs. Kisner was 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI.
Raises batting average by
He's
like
needed
50 points.
something, and hey, if today is the day and that gets him going, and
Yeah.
he can be, especially with Heim struggling as well. So but overall, this is what you kind of, like the excitement that we had last weekend after sweeping the Royals. You're seeing signs of it, even though they didn't win those last two games in Baltimore. They were right in them. They had a chance to win. Now it's just about, this is the first time they've scored more than like 3 runs in an Andrew Heaney start.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew has definitely gotten the short end of the
absolutely,
that sort of thing.
But good win for the Rangers. Good win to finish out the week. They're still just 8 games under 500. That's a week. That's a week's worth of baseball game, and they're right back to 500, right back close to 500. This is a team that can go off any minute. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Right.
I'm just saying that possibility is definitely there, and there's no reason to just be completely out on the season. Yeah, we watched some tough baseball this last week. We watched some tough games, some rough stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a veteran club that's got a veteran manager, veteran pitching coach, a veteran hitting coach, good guys in Beasley and Ragsdale working the defense. They've got a lot of good pieces in that coaching staff. They've got a lot of good pieces on the field. And all it takes is them getting hot for a nice little stretch. And we've talked about that from day one. It's about getting hot for that stretch of about 30 days where you play at 22-8, and the next thing you know, you're 10 games over 500, and you're starting to talk about, hey, this thing's a competitor again.
Yep. And I love the excitement because I'm excited. The Wyatt Langford thing today, it was historical for the Rangers. First Rangers rookie to hit for the cycle since Oddibe McDowell in 1985. Oddibe McDowell was the first Ranger in team history to hit for the cycle.
Yeah.
And
Oddibe McDowell was the only man that was 23 years old and looked 60.
And now Wyatt Langford joins the list of Rangers players to hit for the cycle. Oddibe McDowell, Mark Teixeira, Gary Matthews Jr., who did it in the natural order. What that means is he got the single, the double, the triple, the homer. Ian Kinsler, Benji Molina.
2010. Yes, the triple was hilarious.
Adrian Beltre, Alex Rios, Shin-Soo Choo, Adrian Beltre again. Both, nope, just kidding. I was going to say Rios had it against Houston. Beltre had it against Houston in 15. Last Rangers player to hit for the cycle against the Los Angeles Angels on April 29th, 2017 was Carlos Gomez. He's a good player.
He had a good stretch here too. He was on it, minding his P's and Q's, and he had a good stretch here. Him and Desmond were a pretty good combination out there in the outfield in 2016.
So Wyatt Langford becomes the first player in 7 years to hit for the cycle for the Texas Rangers, and first player since Oddibe McDowell to do it as a rookie. So really big deal. A lot of excitement there. We're seeing what we had always kind of thought.
And the first Ranger to hit a grand slam, an inside the park home run, and hit for the cycle in his first year, in his first season, and just the 17th player to do it in Major League Baseball history. So
history.
Whereas he's hitting 260. That on base plus slug is creeping up towards 750. Maybe we're starting to see the best of Wyatt Langford, and hey, we can always hope because he's played good. He's played a good left field. He's been able to hit when they needed him, and he's got jets, and he can get on base.
And down on the farm with the boys, we did our top players for June, our top 10 for June. Wyatt Langford, definitely the top Ranger. I mean, I don't know Josh Smith's numbers because they've been pretty daggum good, but Wyatt Langford, the month of June, hits a smoking 309, 368 on base, 526 slugs. So he had an amazing month. And again, I think that's not including. I don't think they.
Yeah, it wraps today, right? Today's the last
Today.
day of June, or
No, they
today is the
added it
first
for
day
today.
of January.
It's in there. It's in there.
Yeah,
So
today's July 1st, so.
oh, I got you. I got you. So that doesn't include today. So, heck
No,
of a,
yesterday was June 30th,
yeah. It
which
was.
would have been
I'm looking at it right.
today on the show is July 1st.
Very true. So,
That's what I meant by that. So we start July with an off day. We'll talk tomorrow about preview in San Diego. Always fun when they come to town. And we look forward to some questions from some of our great listeners that always have something witty and fun to talk about. So we expect some great questions tomorrow. And if not, I'll just bring up some from my text conversations with some of the people that listen to the show.
Hey, real quick, do you got a question for us? Do you got a question for the show?
Okay, so here's a quick question. If Seager does hit the IL and Josh Forrest is ready, what do you think will be the moves to get the lineup back to where they want it to be?
Ooh, that's a loaded.
And if Seager doesn't hit the IL and doesn't play for 4 or 5 games and Spores is ready on Tuesday, who do you option on Tuesday to replace for Spores to replace, knowing that you need Jonathan Ornelas to be that backup shortstop in case something happens to Corey Seager?
Man, that's like
Davis Wenzel then, because then you've got Smith and Seager. And if Seager goes on the IL, do you bring Duran or Justin Foscue up to replace him, or do you just put Spores just replace him and Spores right there?
Man,
put him on the 15-day, add Spores to the 26-man.
This is why Boch gets paid the big bucks, but let's talk about it tomorrow. We'll have plenty of time to do it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out on social media, TX Rangers WTB. Don't forget to check out that website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Also, all one word at Chilltown Hoops right here on YouTube, where you can catch our lovely made-for-radio faces. Also, thanks to all of our subscribers to our exclusive content, Down on the Farm with the Boys. We cover all things Rangers minor league. You can subscribe to the audio version of that for just $1.99 a month. Why not? The last episode's loaded. So for the 300-pound manimal, this is your boy Kev. We are Texas Rangers with the Boys. We're signing out.